And now it's time for the Impact Wrestling Report. Here's your host, Mathew Shaffer.
This is the Impact Wrestling Report. I'm your host, Mathew Shaffer. You can follow me on Instagram and on Twitter at Matthew_Shaffer. Of course, if you like this and you want more content from One Wrestling Video YouTube, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button and give us a follow. And right now, if you do so, you will be entered into a contest to win a autographed 8x10 of WWE superstar Elias. However, if you want more WWE news and reviews, of course, check out other shows and content right here on One Wrestling. Now, my name is Mathew Shaffer. I also do moderate the Hami Media Group, and I'm giving away a Sergeant Slaughter Funko Pop. Follow us on Hami Media Group, retweet, and like the post there, and you can be entered to win yourself one as well. However, this is the Impact Wrestling Report, not the giveaway show. So let's kick things off for you right quick here with August 23rd, 2018's edition of the Impact Wrestling Report. And you could, of course, be watching this August 23rd or August 24th. Now, Impact starts out itself with a recap of last week's events, that being Eddie Edwards and Austin Aries and Killer Kross taking out Eddie Edwards, the LAX getting their victory over the OGs, as well as the Smoke Show and a plethora of other things. Now, Impact starts with Eddie Edwards making his way down to the ring. Eddie says that he can admit the last couple links, he's been beaten down. He even motions and lays down in the ring. He's like, I was down. Look at me, I'm down. Then he says he picked himself up, dusted himself off, and he's once again standing in this ring. He says maybe he's crazy, also maybe he's just a man looking for a fight. He also says that, he kind of runs down the history of his breakdown, everything with Sami Callihan and Tommy Dreamer and his wife Alicia. He says he also had a vision of him cracking heads over with people, over the head with someone with a kendo stick. And he basically goes ahead and calls out Austin Aries and Killer Kross. Now, Austin Aries and Killer Kross come out of the ring. Austin Aries starts by saying that Eddie Edwards blew his opportunity for the Impact World Heavyweight Championship, that he is crazy, stupid, and dangerous, that he went ahead, though, and he found someone more dangerous and crazy, that being Killer Kross. So he says, you want to fight? Well, we're going to go ahead and make this easy for you. They get in the ring, and they kind of surround him. Eddie Edwards gets in a quick cheap shot, or just a quick shot itself over on Austin Aries, before Austin Aries and Killer Kross beat him down. They do a simultaneous choke out and figure four, with Killer Kross applying a sleeper hold and Austin Aries applying a figure four lock itself. In the process, the next portion of this beatdown, they had attempted to, I guess you might say, dismantle or end Eddie Edwards. They put a chair over the top of his head. Killer Kross is holding him. Austin Aries motioned to hit him with the chair, and that's when we got the return of a Moose. So Moose comes down to the ring, he makes a save. No actual altercation as Austin Aries and Kevin Kross leave the ring. Leave the ring itself. So, pretty good opening segment, very hot, got you excited for the night. My only complaint about this is that now as I think about the show in retrospect, is they really didn't follow up anywhere in the match. They kind of give us a vignette, which I'll get to the placement of it later, but nothing much more between these two guys. I really wish there had been the tag match would have been tonight, not next week, which it gets announced that next week we will get Moose and Eddie Edwards taking on Austin Aries and Killer Kross at Impact's Redefined, which we, of course, will have coverage right here on One Wrestling YouTube. So after that opening segment, we go to the Crazy Cam with Sami Callihan. I gotta tell you, this show was a little weird, and it started with this segment. So in this segment itself, we have Sami Callihan cutting a great promo, and he's basically explaining to Jake everything that's happened to them has been the fault of Pentagon Jr. Now, at the same time, he also has someone side by side mimicking his every movement, that being Dave. It's kind of similar to what Damien Sandow did with The Miz, or just something, you kind of do similar with your friends as they're making motions, you're copying them and saying the exact same thing. So, thought that was just a little weird. And it's only going to get weirder and darker on this episode of Impact Wrestling. After that, we go to a backstage with Moose and Edwards. Now, Edwards is excited. He thanks Moose for having his back. Moose tells him, of course, I always got your back. I always will. And I'm back here in Impact Wrestling. Alicia then runs into this, and she's all, thanks, Moose. I'm so glad someone finally helped Eddie. And then Edwards is all excited because he thinks Alicia's, come back to him. He's like, yes, I got my lady back. I got Moose back. It's like, right, chip cheerio, bro. We're, totally happy, man. And then Alicia's like, excuse me? No, okay? This is all, a distraction. I gotta go, prepare for my match. Goodbye. And then she just leaves, so... Again, not a love guru, but not a lot of marital support there, or psychological support there. But maybe we're not seeing it. Maybe we're just seeing what happens when they're at work, and I'm just overanalyzing here. We then go out to the Impact Arena for our first match of the night, and it's a debuting match for a new Impact star, and that is Zachary Wentz. Now, if you're unfamiliar, as I was as well, you can look him up online. He was described by Josh Matthews as an internet darling and an international sensation from Dayton, Ohio. Now, of course, he's actually going to be going one-on-one with Matt Sidell. Before the match starts, Matt Sidell's video promo package airs from last week, going over the fact that he's been enlightened once again, and that he will conquer the X Division and more here at Impact Wrestling. So, first actual match of the night was Matt Sidell versus Zachary Wentz. Match starts with Matt Sidell taking down Zachary Wentz to the match. However, Wentz came back with fast and furious with a pretty cool corkscrew crossbody off of the second rope. He then actually threw Matt Sidell out to the outside of the ring and hit another just crossbody hits up, just in general. He was actually, like I said, able to get in some pretty cool moves throughout the match. At one point, he actually had a down Matt Sidell, and he did a standing moonsault to him, which is one of the signatures of Matt Sidell's. At that point, Josh Matthews and Don Callis began to discuss whether or not that was disrespectful. He also hit a vicious knee. He hit a code breaker, which I thought was interesting because Josh Matthews noted that a lot of people nowadays here in Impact seem to be using that move, so I thought that was funny and real for him to point out. I like that. However, this match was purely dominated by Matt Sidell. He was able to secure a victory over the rookie, Zachary Wentz. Like I said, this match was pretty good. It kind of told the story of, the veteran leading the young person or the young rookie in the ring. The rookie trying to get in some offensive moves, but every time he'd maybe start to build some momentum, Sidell just shut him down, and eventually Sidell was victorious. We then kind of go to another vignette. This is with Eli Drake, and he's on the phone talking. The Cult of Lee, Caleb, and Trevor walk up to him, and they're all excited. Oh my gosh, we won the match last week. Yay! Eli Drake, yeah, dummy. Yeah, you won the match, dummy. And Drake's like, well, you guys really didn't do anything. Of course, you were there, and right place, right time, be grateful. Basically kind of tells him to take a hike. Trevor Lee and Kayla basically kind of say they want to prove themselves to Eli Drake, that, that they want to prove that they should be best friends with Eli Drake. And then we kind of get these two unknown tag team, or this two unknown wrestlers who just walk in. Trevor Lee and Caleb challenge them to a match later this evening. And Eli Drake just kind of laughs and says he's going to have to see this, as they challenge what appears to be no names or independent wrestlers that just happen to walk into the backstage area. We then go to a vignette where we kind of hear Brian Cage speak for the first time. Now, Cage says he is better than everyone. He says he's bigger and better than Bobby Lashley. Thought it was interesting that they mentioned Bobby Lashley in this promo. Kind of makes me wonder when that was shot. He says when he thinks of Impact, he thought of the X Division, and that's why he wanted to dominate it, which, interesting enough, Ben Hameen mentioned that actually last week on The Locker Room, which you can check that out with Ben Hameen and Stevie Richards, which there'll probably be a new episode by the time you're watching this one, so check that out, hackerhameen.podbean.com. He says, of course, that he's got nothing bad to say about his upcoming opponent, Phoenix, who he's set to face next week for the X Division title as he defends it against him. But he says he's the best. He's LeBron James and Bo Jackson all rolled into one. I thought Brian Cage actually delivered a pretty good promo. For the first time him speaking, he's got a good natural voice, good cadence, didn't stutter. Didn't have any weird, wacky, verbal communication dysfunctions or shortcomings. So I thought he delivered a pretty good promo, and it'll be interesting to hear maybe a more angry, passionate Brian Cage down the line. We then get a GWN match of the week. This one actually was with Christopher Daniels versus James Storm. Pretty good match, I guess. I don't know. I didn't watch it. The whole thing was built around AJ Styles returning. I guess he returned. I recall he does eventually return, and then he turns on Storm. Go watch it. Video package then airs hyping the Mexican death match. So it's Sami Callihan's like struggle and his, fall, his triumphs and falls as he's trying to overcome Pentagon Jr. Of course, getting his head shaved. We then go to the ring. Gama Singh is in the ring, and he introduces the Desi Hit Squad. We then see Fallah Bahh and K-Out come out in matching gear, because between the, the commercial break, Fallah Bahh gave KM a giant bag with his face on it, and inside was the ring gear. So KM comes out and they're wearing matching ring gear now. Now the match starts out with Bahh dominating Raju with none of Raju's offense not working. Basically, telling the story of a smaller guy trying to get in offensive strikes on the body to a larger individual. Kind of like me trying to punch a big Ray. I'm 5'9", $175. No, actually I don't weigh $175. I weigh $160. I'm in pretty good shape. SteveRichtsFitness.com, people. So the match continues. Raju, again, he could not get any offensive in, so Bahh dominates. Raju tags in to Gursinder Singh. Bahh dominates him, and then eventually Bahh lets KM get in the ring. Now, at this point, Desi Hit Squad then actually take over for a little bit, making multiple hot tags, moving in and out of the ring with lariats and dominating the corner with mudhole stomping, punches, a couple of side slams. Now, at one point, though, a KM finally get a tag in to Fallah Bahh. At this point, Bahh takes over. He hits multiple body splashes on Raju and Singh. They then both do their rolling move, or they like a rolling, I don't know what you want to call it, like a rolling pin. That's probably the move, is probably what it should be called, the rolling pin. And eventually, DHS does try to fight back. However, KM was able to take Gursinder Singh, pin him up for a powerbomb, bring him down onto his knees, so a powerbomb to the knees. And then they dragged Gursinder Singh into the corner, and they proceeded to crush him. And what you might know the move might be called as the rump shaker. As Rikishi used to do it, where he crushes him with his bottom or his behind off the second rope. They get the pin. 1, 2, 3. Your winner, KM and Fallah Bahh. After the match, Gursinder Singh is yelling at Desi Hit Squad, and once again, the 50-50 booking with Desi Hit Squad is interesting. And I don't know. 1 week Fallah Bahh is winning, 1 week they're losing. Same thing with Desi Hit Squad. There's no real any direction right now, I think, with the tag team division, because the OGs in the LAX division have it such on lockdown that it kind of has a stranglehold on the rest of the division. So while I appreciate the LAX OGs storyline, which we're going to get to here, I can also recognize the fact that because of that, it is creating less urgency or competition within the division. So not a lot of teams are vying or have a reason to build up a hot streak. There's no storyline development from that aspect. We then go to a backstage video with Grotto and Katrina and Joe Hendry. Now at this point, Katrina is basically belittling Grotto for losing, saying, she didn't sign up to be his girlfriend if he was going to be the biggest loser in Impact and can't win any matches. Hendry defends him by recalling a story when they were children, where I guess Grotto lost a race, then trained all year, and the very next year came in second to last. So progress and slow and steady wins the race. He encourages Grotto that he's going to get a win on their next match, and then he decides, hey, let's go get some mac and cheese. So as Katrina and Hendry exit, all of a sudden the camera pans over, smoke goes off and dissipates, and we see Scarlett Bordeaux sitting there with Bobo. Scarlett Bordeaux asks Grotto what's wrong. Grotto starts crying, says, his girlfriend's always putting him down for losing matches. She invites them all to come onto the show and says, she's a guru of love herself. But to do so, the Grotto's going to have to do one favor for her. So this is where we get to the second weird moment of the night, and this is where they took it up. Now, the first one, like I said, Dave Crist imitating Sami Callihan. But you know what? I can get over that, because if it's all supposed to be OVE, Ohio versus everything, they can be all one family, so they all need to be one united in one focus. I can get on board with that thought process. What I cannot get on board is this next segment. So we then pan or go to another location with a stripper pole, and it's Grotto, and he's stripping for Scarlett Bordeaux and Bobo. And that's pretty much, I don't really need to go into more detail. You know, he's stripping, shaking himself. Eventually it concludes with him standing over Scarlett Bordeaux, shaking his penis in her face, and she slaps him on the behind, and then he falls over the couch, and she, I guess, almost kind of laughs to break character, and that's how the scene ends. I don't know what the fuck I just watched. That was weird. It was eerie, and I don't understand. And you know what? At this point, I probably would have forgotten about it. I could have forgotten about it, and I wouldn't have pointed out, even put it in the weird things that happened on Impact tonight. But Impact went to a whole new level later in the evening, and we'll get there. We're getting close, because the next match here is Kyra Hogan versus Alicia Edwards. Now, I didn't pay too much attention to this match. This match moved back and forth between both women. Near fall after near fall is what I saw. The only reason why I didn't pay too much attention to the actual moves or take notes is I was kind of distracted by Kyra Hogan, because, man, that girl is gorgeous. And, yeah, I was just in a trance. Anyway, Kyra Hogan picked up the victory with, like, a swinging fisherman hook neckbreaker. So she had him, like, in a fisherman hook as she did a swinging neckbreaker. So the winner of the match was Kyra Hogan. Now, after the match, Ali cuts a promo about how Su Yung pushed her to the dark side. She says, you know, by being pushed to the dark side, it changed her, but it gave her a purpose, as she knows now how, you know, what she has to do to end Su Yung. She then speaks on Alicia always interfering. I'm sorry, not Alicia. Tessa Blanchard always interfering in the match. She then challenges both Su Yung and Tessa in a triple threat match next week for the Impact Knockout Women's Championship at Impact Redefined. We then get like a earlier in the day segment. It's outside at a pool party there where they're shooting the show at the club. They're interviewing Johnny Impact. Now, while being interviewed, you know, they're going over Johnny Impact's highlights and getting his comeuppance over Jimmy Jacobs. In the process, Congo Kong attacks him. They all start fighting outside. It ends with Congo Kong charging Impact, and he evades the attack and ends up in the pool and ends up in deep waters as the segment ends. We then go to another video package of Tessa Blanchard accepting Ali's challenge for the championship match. So it indeed looks like we're going to be getting that triple threat match next week at Impact Redefined. I then got a interview actually with someone we haven't seen in about a month or so since before Slammiversary, and that's Rich Swann. If you are unaware, Rich Swann was injured at an indie event about 2 or 3 days before Slammiversary last month and has not been seen since then as far as on Impact Wrestling. However, Rich Swann explains why he signed with Impact. Now, they're outside on the street with doing the interviews, so they're kind of like walking. It's more like a conversation than an actual interview. Kind of appreciated it. It's definitely staged, obviously, with the questions, but Rich Swann was really natural in his responses. He said that ultimately came to Impact to capture the X Division Championship. It's also announced that next week at Impact Redefined, he's going to go one-on-one with Petey Williams. He kind of lists all his favorite Impact wrestling stars: AJ Styles, Frankie Kazarian, Petey Williams, Sanjay Dutt, and a plethora of others itself. Says he's happy to go one-on-one Petey Williams and, you know, carve his foot in stone and make his way down the same path in the X Division itself. Okay, so this was weird. After this next, I'm going to go over this interview here. But we had a video package they aired at Pentagon Jr., and this was, again, hyping the Mexican Death Match for the night with Sami Callihan. So this was just an odd placement for this this interview. So it goes to Austin Aries and Killer Kross backstage, and they are going on about what just happened in the ring. But the weird thing about it is how she refers to the action that just happened, as if Austin Aries and Killer Kross just walked out from the ring from that beatdown on Eddie Edwards, and then they challenged or accepted Eddie Edwards and Moose's, you know, challenge itself. It was really confusing. I didn't understand why this was placed so far along in the program. I guess is what I'm getting to. They should have had this interview segment right after the beatdown. That's where it would have made sense to interview these two, not interview these two later and then say, hey, did you see what just happened when you guys were out there in the ring? I was like, well, no, that just happened about 45 minutes ago now. So what are you talking about? Anyway, we then go to a tag team match with Cole Lee. They come down to the ring with Eli Drake, who decided he's going to be on commentary. The two individuals, the independent wrestlers, their names are Brandon Tidwell and Mr. Atlantis. Now, the match itself was short. I was actually more taken aback and more enjoyed by Eli Drake's commentary. He's hilarious. It was a short match, like I said, culturally dominated, tried to show off to Eli Drake in the match itself and use some of his moves. However, by doing so and showing off, this caught Caleb off guard. Brandon Tidwell was actually able to roll up Caleb for the winner. So your winner was the independent professional wrestlers, or otherwise known maybe potentially being the enhancement talent, Brandon Tidwell and Mr. Atlantis. Decent. I guess I liked at least seeing Eli Drake on Impact Wrestling, at least hearing his voice. It's kind of a shame where he's just being relegated to working with Colt Elite right now. He should be in the Impact Heavyweight Championship hunt like every month. I don't know. That's just me. At least be on the upper card for Impact. You know, he's definitely one of those guys that has a gift on the mic, has good look, can move in the ring. There's no reason why he shouldn't be a pillar stone there, or shouldn't be a driving force in that division itself, or at least some form of championship, rather than being relegated to comedy skits with a tag team. Alright, we then go to our last video package of the night, that being LAX. So basically what it is, it's 5150 Conan, Santana, Ortiz walking back to their neighborhood. They're seeing all their amigos there waiting to be greeted. They're having a party, celebrating. There's a kid there. They give him the tag team titles, put it on his shoulders, like, hey, hey, haha, cool, right? So they're talking about what they're going to do next. They're excited about that, you know, they got rid of the OGs. Now, however, that's what they think. Because meanwhile, simultaneously, the video cuts to the OGs in the car. Super Mex, Homicide, Santana, and King driving. And they're basically heading toward that neighborhood. So at one point, Conan tells LAX, hey, you know, I got some gifts for you. Calls some of his boys and tells the kid, hey, I didn't forget about you too. So they're walking out to the car, or wherever the truck, wherever they're going, and then all of a sudden, in the middle of the street, a car's lights turns on, and what would probably be assumed, what could only be seen from the back, they probably saw an individual holding the titles. So they were like, oh, we got to hit this person because they're holding the tag titles. Ladies and gentlemen, they ran over a child. Now, they didn't show it directly. It was just insinuated. You know, the car sped up really fast, and and then when they came back, the kid was laying in the street. And we got the camera blurry vision from the kid's views. Everyone's over him talking. Really dark of Impact to go with a child getting hit by a car. Now, again, everything I pointed out to you tonight, the first being Sami Callihan being Mimic, could have gotten over that. Grotto doing the stripper thing, could have forgot that. But then to top it off with a child being hit by a car. Now, if I was a liberal snowflake, I'd be really upset. I'm also not a conservative. I'm just weirded out. It's just weird. I don't know. Watch it for yourselves. They hit the kid with the car. I don't know. Main event now is the Mexican death match. Now, with about 15 minutes left in the program, they definitely gave this match some time. The match starts out with both men grabbing weapons, countering each other with chair shots. So they're hitting each other chair on chair. Pentagon, though, gained the early advantage. Callihan got an early pinfall after powerbombing Pentagon Jr. through two chairs that Sami Callihan had actually set up. Callihan then got a early pinfall. He then tried to set up a table. However, that backfired as Pentagon Jr. did a tope con hilo to Callihan on the outside, crashing him through the table, actually. So basically, to replay that back, because that was a lot of gibberish there. Sami Callihan basically put Pentagon Jr. through the chairs, and then he rolled the outside to grab a table. As he was setting it up, though, Pentagon Jr. hit him from the outside of the tope con hilo. Where am I now? So, as a part of the Mexican death match, there's actually piñatas around the 4 turnbuckles. So there's 4 piñatas filled with something, candy, weapons, Legos, chocolate, pins, I don't know. So basically what happens is Pentagon Jr. goes for the first piñata. He pulls out a staple gun. He starts stapling Sami Callihan. Eventually, he staples Sami Callihan's hat to his head, and then he actually goes to run and pull it off, and the hat doesn't come off. It's that staple, and then he does it again. I was just thinking, oh, that's gotta hurt. He then pulls out some hair clippers and motions that he's going to trim Sami Callihan's beard. Callihan fights back and low blows him, puts a stop to it. Both men then fight violently around the ring. They were both each applying some stiff kicks to each other, just kicking the crap out of each other. Sammy got the upper hand. He then opened up a pinata and he found a bat. At this point, he then took a trash can, one of those metal trash cans, put it over Pentagon Jr.'s head, and he hit him violently with the bat itself. Pentagon Jr. actually was, though, able to come back, fight back, and he actually hit a Death Valley driver on another table that was set up outside. They then got back in the ring. We saw Pentagon Jr. open up the final pinata, and it, like I said, as I alluded to, it was Legos. So he dumped out Legos all over the ring. Now he tried to do a package pile driver, or whatever what's it called, the Pentagon driver. He tried to do the Pentagon driver first on Legos. However, Sammy reversed it through the Legos in his eyes. So he hit him with his own package pile driver. He kicked out. Then we saw Pentagon Jr. hit his own on the Legos. He kicked out. At this point, Pentagon Jr. then went ahead and he set up a table in the ring. He then was going to, he laid Sami Callihan across the table and was just going up the top turnbuckle. However, Sami Callihan was actually able to fight back, ran up the top turnbuckle, and he hit off the top turnbuckle through a table. He hit Pentagon Jr. with his stuffed pile driver that was given to him by Mankind, or Mick Foley. And he got the 1, 2, 3. And Sami Callihan Jr. was victorious of the Mexican Death Match. As far as, like, the name, I guess maybe it holds value. It wasn't too violent in the sense where I thought of what a Mexican Death Match would be. I don't know. Maybe I was overanalyzing what the term Mexican Death Match was. It should have just been called a Mexican Pinata Surprise Match, because that's what it really was. It was what's in the pinata, and then we'll use the weapons in there. I really didn't see any deathly thing to it. No one shed any blood. They didn't leave the actual arena. They just brawled in the ring and out of the ring, so they didn't go fight around the club or outside. It wasn't even as good as MVP and Sami Callihan in the Boiler Room. That was a better match. So, I don't know. A little disappointed there. Good match, all in all. Sami Callihan wins. Now they've each kind of got one up on each other, so I'm assuming this feud will probably continue a little bit more, unless that's it. But, ladies and gentlemen, that is all from me to you today, right here on the IWR, the Impact Wrestling Report. So, of course, you can watch more Impact reviews, news each and every week by hitting that like and subscribe button. You can follow us on Twitter at OneWrestling. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Matthew_Shaffer. You can check out hackerhomie.podbean.com with Big Ray, Michael Jargo, and Rick Vickery themselves on their audio show, and they will be at Starrcast this year and All In on Podcast Row on their Monday and Saturday show, Hitting the Marks Pro Wrestling Podcast. Now, of course, if you would like to win some free stuff, go ahead and check out the video I put out before called the One Wrestling Giveaway video, where I'm giving away a 8x10 signed autograph of Elias. You can, of course, follow me on Twitter at Hami Media Group, where I help moderate that group and where I'm giving away a Sergeant Slaughter Funko Pop. That's what I've got for you today, ladies and gentlemen, right here. That's my report to you. My name's Matthew Shaffer. My name's Mathew Shaffer. Matthew Shaffer Gauge, whatever you want to call me, whatever you want to say. As I always like to let you know, don't you dare go too far. I'll see you next week on the IWR.